Coming to you from North Atlanta Studios and brought to you by Mesmerize Media. It's the Advantage of Adversity podcast. And now, here's your host, Glenn Carver.
Hello, this is Glenn Carver, your host on the Advantage of Adversity podcast. As you know, our mission is to showcase people with amazing stories, inspiring stories, who have dealt with some level of adversity in their personal or professional life. And in spite of that, they have chosen to find the advantage. They've chosen to find the opportunity in the adversity. And I've said 1,000 times, as long as human beings are walking the earth, there will always be adversity. So how you decide to process your adversity literally dictate the quality of your life. So today I've got a fantastic guest on, longtime friend Todd Roseberry. Todd, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Cannot wait to hear your story. Talk about adversity.
Pretty messed up.
It's kind of messed. I love messed up.
It's pretty up.
Messed up is great. But you and professionally, you and your lovely wife Kathy have built a fantastic real estate business over the past 28 years. Correct?
Yep.
40 years of experience between you.
Almost 50.
Wow. How were that?
I grew up in a real estate family.
Okay.
So I've been doing it a long time.
Okay.
That's just so you know.
Good.
I started early.
You know what you're doing.
What's that?
Real estate.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I would think.
You figured it out.
Although every market throws me a curveball. I mean, it's like what's been happening the last couple of years.
Sure.
There's another topic for another time.
Continually learning.
Yeah.
I know from 2004 to 2010, you were a team leader at Keller Williams. I remember that era for you.
Yep.
You built a phenomenal market center in Midtown, and you had a couple hundred agents doing a couple thousand transactions a year. That's crushing it, buddy.
Yeah, I got it to one of the top in the country, top offices in the country. It was good. It was a good time. So it was great. It was a great gig. It just going through the downturn. We're talking about downturns and adversity, but leading a ship of 200 real estate agents, relatively young office, and I had somebody who's crying in my office every day from 2008 to 2010. And I mean, like, they were losing cars, houses, everything.
Oh, God.
And it was brutal. I lasted about 2 years, and I was like, so I went back into sales right in the middle of the downturn. It was a great experience. It changed my life. But Keller Williams, as you know, you studied it.
Phenomenal company.
Phenomenal.
Absolutely. Love it. I've always said I'm not a tattoo guy, but if I got a tattoo, it'd be either Porsche or Keller Williams.
Okay. Nice. I like it.
Maybe Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah. Okay, those are your top three.
I think those are my top three. All right. But we're not here to talk about real estate, and Todd. We're here to talk about the fact that in 2017, you had the pleasure of not only breaking your neck, but you broke your neck in a different country on a family vacation in Mexico.
Yeah, it was good times. Times.
Oh.
Yeah, I spent a long time on a Mexican operating table. You want to avoid that, by the way. That's on your bucket list for some odd reason.
That could be the name of a book or maybe a song.
Yeah, it's
Mexican operating table.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the moment that this happened. I think you dove into a pool. Set the stage for the story.
Yeah, well, it's messy. So I broke my spine in 8 places. I had 6 fractured spines.
7 wasn't enough. You had to go for.
Well, I went for 8. Around a double 0 to infinity sign. Go big or go home.
Yes.
So 8 different places. 2 spine had double fractures. The most significant was C2. Now that is it's one of the most frail spinal vertebrae. It's the one that creates most of the movement in your head. So C1 is the atlas that's attached to the skull. So that one had a double fracture of housing, the spinal cord, and double with separation. I have pictures showed on my computer. It was so it was completely compromised. In the medical community, they affectionately call it the hangman's fracture because it typically kills you. Because that's a Christopher Reeves, the old 80s Superman.
Correct.
That is feeding tube respirator, and I had a double fracture around the housing. So I mean, it's
So the fact that you're sitting here is slightly miraculous.
Yeah.
This could have been I know the story's incredible. We're getting into that, but the fact that you're here, you're walking, you're healthy.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well,
miraculous.
it either things like that are either gonna. You said earlier, adversity. We're defined by our adversity. We're not defined by the wins.
That's right.
We're defined by the losses. And they're going to happen, and they're going to happen again, and something else is going to happen to me and you. It's roughly not as bad.
That's right. That's right.
Defined by how you react and how you treat those, and how you mentally, physically. So I could have gone the painkiller route. I definitely was justified in that, but I mean, I was chomping at the bit after 2 weeks to get off of them. I could have been a victim. I could have been, and it was a life-changing. I got as healthy as I've been probably ever in my life because of that. It just pushed me to. I looked at myself one day. I was overweight, and I was semi-depressed. At PTSD pretty bad, and like 10 months after the accident, I hit a record weight.
Record high.
High.
As in not good.
Yeah. I got some before and after pictures. My camera, but so to give you an example of the before and after, if something significant happens in your life, you can go the direction. So you can see 2 pictures here. This is me before, about the time of the accident, about what I weighed and how I looked.
Okay. Yep.
This is me last. That's it. 47.
Massive difference.
That's me. That's last Halloween. It's Viking Rolo, by the
Yep.
way. You watch Vikings. That's Lagerthen Rolo.
Okay. You look fantastic.
That's 54. That's just. So you can see what.
Wow.
Like I said, you could take something like that in either direction.
Yeah. Well, there's a blessing right there.
Yeah.
In those before and after pictures.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the moment that you dove into the pool.
Okay, so
Set that up for me.
yeah, so we're
Want
at
people to feel it.
okay, we're in an all-inclusive resort in Mexico, and they play this game every day, 4:00, and it's some ridiculous athletic contest. So you have a little bitty goal. And today was kicking a soccer ball into a tiny little goal.
Okay.
Activity pool, 4.5 feet deep. So if you don't achieve the objective, you have to do a belly flop into the pool. Okay, so it's a bunch of dads and kids lined up every day.
Having a good time.
Every day at 4:00. Crazy game.
Yeah.
Call it.
Yeah.
Crazy. And so I didn't achieve the objective, so I did a belly flop. Now, a couple of mistakes happened. First of all, because it's 4.5 feet of water and because I'm only a couple of inches off the water, my brain, it did not register as potentially dangerous.
Right.
Sure. I'm not on a platform, not on a tree, not on a balcony. And then I want to do it for the photo op. I want to do something kind of with a little style. So I jumped high as I can, and I'm for a short white guy. I got some ups.
Yeah.
Jumped as high as I can, and then I went to grab both of my ankles. Ankles, back arched. I don't know if you're in the world of belly flops. It's called a flying squirrel.
Okay.
Okay. So what happened was I closed my eyes, thinking photo op, it's gonna be funny, and then so that movement of my arms rotated me, and I didn't realize I'd rotated, and I was grabbing my ankles. So I went in head first, somehow accelerated, and hit the bottom. I knew it was bad.
Right here?
Yeah, let me show you the picture, because like I said, people see pool, 4 feet of water, you think
They're not appreciating what happened
you
here.
don't really understand the significance of the impact. So let me flash the picture.
Oh my God.
Okay, so that's my head. That's
Dude, you got hit by a Mack truck.
yeah, and that's the second row of stitches. So
Oh my God.
35, 40 on top. I think he counted 100, 116 stitches, because there's a layer underneath.
That's
They had to
brutal.
reconnect the connective tissue. Yeah, brutal.
Wow.
It's brutal. So, and I hit so hard that I fractured vertebrae all the way down to my thoracic. Fractured 3, T2, 3, and 4. So all the way down to here.
Did you hit here or on top of
Right on top.
Oh,
Right on
so it
top.
transferred all that energy and pressure and compression
Yep.
throughout your entire spine.
A fracture.
I cannot believe you're sitting here.
Yeah.
Not in a wheelchair.
Well, I should be dead multiple times over. So that's the first one. I should have been knocked out. So I have I wrote my learning lessons from this, and I think there are some really important ones that are going to surprise people. The first one's super obvious. Never head first. Never head first.
Yeah, that's 101.
I mean, it's so obvious, but when you had your cancer and people have their cancer story, they probably, and they want to inspire you. My buddy had it and he didn't have so. Well, you get that same thing with a really bad fracture, except everyone's always dead or paralyzed. That's the story that they tell. But
Right.
the stories you get, though, they have one thing in common. They start with, they didn't realize, ...
Hold my beer. Realize.
The tide was out. There was a log.
Sure.
There was a rock. Whatever it is, they didn't realize. So never, so obvious, but never head first. And the second thing is that I know a lot of moms aren't real big fans of football as a sport, because it is a brutal sport.
Sure.
I played it for 10 years. I loved it. I believe football saved my life. I have an 18-inch neck. Okay. I have these ridiculous traps like a cobra. It's kind of gross, actually. You don't get that.
I'm kind of offended right now.
Yeah, you get that from football and wrestling. That's it.
Right.
So because I should have been knocked out, but I've been taking hits my whole life. I was a mud runner. I did this and that's powerlifting.
You were prepared for this party.
So yeah, if I'd have been knocked out with a double fracture in C2, do you ever take life saving? Anybody ever a lifeguard?
No.
Okay, so when you're resuscitating someone,
I've been resuscitated, but haven't done it.
Yes, you have.
Code blue, baby.
Yeah, code blue. Yeah, what they do is they crank your neck back to open the airway.
Yeah.
So that would have been done. So the average person would have been severed spine on the spot.
Yeah.
Had I not been a meathead, would have been knocked out. I blacked it, like I couldn't see for about a minute. So, but my vision was black. I could hear though. And when I got out of the water, I don't know if you've ever seen blood hit water, but it has this weird polarization and it just spreads. Yeah. And so it was a horror in my ears, screaming and crying.
You're hearing this.
Speaking of Jersey, and I remember this one voice. Oh my God. I was like, Jersey in the house. I could even spot where she was from. Brooklyn. Bensonhurst, probably.
That's great.
Yeah. Anyway, so my kids were right in front of me. So I was in the water and I knew it was bad immediately. And so I reached up, this is pretty gross, and all the tissue and skin was over here in a lump. It slid all the way over, so I could feel it. So I'm underwater, blacked out, conscious, but couldn't see. Knew my kids were 4 and 8.
Yes.
And I was pushing it back, trying to, I didn't want them to see. That's
very Rambo of you.
So, I guess it's something. I don't know what it was. So I got out of the water, and then the crying, screaming, and I walked over to the pool, and they were attending to me. There's an American doctor there. Asked me questions like, "Man, you broke your neck, brother."
Mm.
And
so he knew it immediately?
Oh, he knew to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so they braced me up, put me down, looked like a sheik. I had a towel I had, a big beach towel.
That is not an announcement you want to receive. That's kind of like a cancer diagnosis. You broke your neck.
Yeah. So I didn't tell Kathy that he said that.
Okay.
I didn't want to freak her out.
Sure.
And so we get to the hospital. So those are your two first learning lessons. Don't just on football, moms. Never go head first. And so the hospital was a fun part, and there's really, really interesting stuff, lessons to be learned in a third world country in a hospital. So we get there, and they did a CT scan, and they found the 5 fractures in my cervical. They didn't check the thoracic at that point. They were checking for brain damage to see if I needed surgery. And fortunately, because of the meathead, the bones were in place. They weren't, they were like this. Like, so if you cut to this picture. So I had massive fractures with separation, but they were in place. They weren't shifted to where I needed surgery. Thank God. So the surgery was.
What are the odds of that?
Yeah. So second lesson is hospitals in third world countries will and do hold you hostage.
Ooh.
This is a fact.
Okay.
I did some research when I got home and
this
found
is
tons.
a part of the conversation that's kind of juicy.
Okay. So with me, they did the x-rays and the CT scan to make sure I didn't have any brain damage, have something that was going to kill me. They would have done surgery. They'll do surgery. They'll do surgery on you, but they'll do one of two things. With me, they will backing up. So right before I went on this trip, my accounts got hacked. Got into my bank account. I had to close everything down. So we had one
Convenient.
credit card. They don't take Discover at Hospital Cancun, apparently. So they would not admit me or sew me up until we paid them in full.
That's a problem.
$12,000 in full. The overnight visit and for the CT scans. They did the CT scans, again, to make sure I wasn't going to die. So, and I know this because they don't take Discover, and my wife, she went Jersey. I mean, I could hear her just screaming, cussing. I mean, so we had to have people run to our home office, rifle through our accounts, our folders, and find a credit card and scan them.
Unbelievable.
11 o'clock at night. I'm there for 6 hours sitting on the table, skin starting to draw up.
Yeah,
it starts to dry up.
Oh.
And so finally, we got them paid after 5-6 hours. So they were not going to treat me further or admit me until they got they got paid. Now the other thing, fun fact number 3, is your insurance, your health insurance, does not carry outside the country. So you will not get reimbursed. You have to pay them in cash. Now, if you're going to die, and I found a couple actually from Sandy Springs, it was on the news a couple weeks after I got home. If you're going to die, and this couple was down there, they'll do surgery. They won't let you die. They don't want that on their, on the news.
Bad for tourism.
Yes, it is. And they positioned a security guard outside her door, and they would not let this couple leave until it's $40,000. Also, Medevac company, we talked about how awesome they are. They have this charity called KW Cares, and they have no operating costs. It's when they help people in need, and they had set up a Medevac, paid for it, and that's about $30,000. We can't, because probably 50 today.
Wow.
And I talked to a big insurance guy. Africa's a couple $100,000. South America, it's going to be $100,000. Not covered because you're out of the country.
That's a spendy ride. That's a spendy Uber.
Yeah. So solution, buy the trip insurance. I know that you think it's for your hotel if your kid gets sick, or your hotel or your flight. It also has a medical rider. And I'll give you a website too. And I got this from a high-level Fortune 500 risk management. I had a long conversation with it at a lacrosse tournament. InsureMyTrip.com.
Okay.
InsureMyTrip.com.
That will cover a broken neck?
That will cover a medevac. There's different levels. It will cover medical expenses. It will cover a medevac to get home.
It's good information to have.
Yeah, absolutely. People don't realize they're zip lining in Panama, or they're diving in Belize. You get it, and this InsureMyTrip.com is affiliated internationally with. They'll tell you, like, you call them when you have an accident, and they'll tell you what hospitals to go to, what doctors to go to. Because I've heard
stories.
Yeah, heard some crazy stories about people going to vets. Until they had a guy in Panama broke his foot. Compound fracture. He had a soda by a vet. Yeah.
Well, I'm dying to know. So your head hits the concrete.
Yeah.
What level of pain are you in immediately? And then more importantly, for the 6 hours that you're awaiting payment?
Oddly enough, I don't know if it's partial shock or why it will be. Again, my pain scale is different than most people. It wasn't that bad. I tell you what, it's we're coming to fun fact number 5. What was bad? So they were doing surgery on me. Again, it was 6 hours later. So its skin had shriveled up. So they were and a guy had an apprentice. The doctor, he kind of speak English. So they were having to stretch it, the skin, and they were pulling. And I'm like, I got a broken neck, and they're scraping. I just remember this sound, and you could smell alcohol, and then the iodine, and then some other material, and it was an hour and 20 minutes.
Biting a bullet or a twig or
no. Well, not Novocaine. It was more of a thank God I do a lot of yoga. I did a lot more now, but I've done it historically, and I literally was saying the mantra that I've learned in yoga class. And then that there's a certain type of breathing that you can apply that relaxes you, calms you down. And I was envisioning myself literally in a yoga class. That was a tough hour, but not nearly as tough. Maybe one of the worst parts was what came after that. So Kathy's gone. It's like 2 a.m. The kids were somebody was watching them at the resort, but she had to get back to the hotel. They're wheeling me to finally they admitted me. They took our money, and there's two little Mexicans. They're undernourished a little bit. They're kind of short, like they're kind of like little elves, like this tall. So I guess it took 2 of them because it was so heavy. So they were wheeling me to my room, and there's a guy and a girl, and all I could see, I'm looking up, all I could see was the tiles. I couldn't move. I wasn't paralyzed, but I couldn't move.
Sure.
All that scraping, cutting, and sewing. So I could see the lights, and my phone goes dead. Freaking horror movie. I mean, I am,
Yeah, you're living it.
Yeah. And then the gal, the little gal, she starts like yapping, like a voice gets elevated. And I'm like, bad time for a lover spat. I can't get the phone. I can't move.
Yeah.
So Novocaine's wearing off. Okay, 2 fun facts in a row. A lot of people don't like Americans. I don't know if that's a surprise. They really don't. I know. And so she's yelling. So she starts yelling at the guy. And I'm like, and I realized a few seconds later, she wasn't yelling at him. She was yelling at me. Some kind of anti-American something. Here's how I know. She goes, la 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 la, especial. I'm like, oh, recognize that? That's on a beer bottle, right?
Sure.
It's a special. Some gringo special. So she starts running with me, and she pushes me and slams me into a wall.
Intentionally.
Right after surgery on my head with 8 fractures. and special, and she just kind of says
So
something,
vindictive.
and then walks off. So, all right. So we know this. A lot of people are jealous of Americans. I get it. We're awesome. And they're not. So, so they put me in the room. So here's fun fact number 5. In Mexico, maybe this is all third world countries, they don't give you real pain meds. Okay. And
Watered down?
No. It wasn't like narcotic pain medicine. So and I know this because I read the boxes like 3 weeks later when I could kind of think. I had the boxes, they're all in Spanish. So I looked them up and I'm like, it's a pain reliever like acetaminophen, Advil, and antibiotic. So all that scraping, the Novocaine was wearing off. And they put me in a room and there's no monitor, there's no pulse ox, there's no heart rate, there's no thing with the beep, beep, beep. No, none of that.
Sounds primitive.
There's a button. I could call button. And so the Novocaine started when I was getting, the pain got so bad that I was starting to vomit, and I couldn't sit up. And so I'm hitting the button.
That's a problem.
I hit the button and like 20 minutes later, someone comes in. And I had to ask him, I'm crying, I'm begging. Cabeza, ow. And finally, like 4 or 5 in the morning, gave me something, put me to sleep. That was God. I was the longest night of my life.
This was hell.
That was awful. It was a rough night. Rough night.
So how long were you in that hospital?
I was as short as possible. As soon as my wife got there the next day, I'm like, we were out of here. We're out of here. So I went 4 days without pain medicine, like real pain medicine.
You left that hospital, you were on a medevac back home?
No, I didn't. I refused. I'm so hard-headed. Part of it was altruistic. I said, no, somebody else need that money more than me. I'll be fine. I can make it. Just super, super stubborn. So I went on a regular flight.
Oh my God.
That was not the smartest move. Kathy should have insisted.
What did your head look like? What kind of bandages did you have on your head?
The bandages. I didn't have a head. It was just a big bandage. So that was kind of stupid.
But first class, or they stick you in the back?
I got first class.
That's good.
First class.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and I'll tell the rest of the story, and then we can talk about like, but this is probably the most important part of the story. So I get home and I get to Northside Hospital, and I'd had a recommendation for a neurosurgeon. They looked at so I had my CT scan in my hand. The fractures were on the very top. And they did an MRI, and they came in the room and they said, and he just finally got drugs for the first time. So I'm like, oh, awesome.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
What'd you get?
I don't know. Probably some kind of morphine and
some Dilaudid.
Ativan. So whatever it was, I was feeling pretty good. And they came in the room and they said, good news, you don't have any fractures. And we're like
candid camera?
Yeah. So, I'm reading the transcript of what so the on-call surgeon at the hospital in Cancun was their spinal surgeon. He was their spine specialist. So I have this transcript. He's the only one that spoke English. I had the transcript of what he said. And I have these scans in my hand that clearly show these. All you got to do is look at them. They didn't want to look at them. So, and they did an MRI, which is fine. And I found out later when I went to see the doctor that MRI is soft tissue. This is another learning lesson. Okay. That's like tendons, ligaments. CT scan is just a 3-dimensional X-ray. A lot of people know this, some people don't. Blood clots, bone damage. They did not do a CT scan. I don't know why. They didn't want to look at the ones in my hand. Look at these. Yeah, we're good.
It's convenient.
Okay.
Here, look at these.
So, but at the time, I'm feeling high as a kite, and they send me home without a neck brace on, with 8 fractures.
Oh.
And so, if you that reaction, if you tell anyone in the medical community I had a double fracture of the housing and on C2, that's exactly what they do.
That's a cringe.
Literally cringe. So anything, fender bender, turn my head the wrong way, fall on a bed, I have a medical bed in my den. So I go to the doctor. His name is Dr. Walkup. Well, let me tell you the story. So I go see him. So I hadn't actually seen him. So it's a week after the accident. It's on a Thursday. I go see the doctor. No neck brace, and I'm walking around.
Holding yourself? Were you holding yourself?
Yeah, every time I had to get up, I had to hold my neck. And so he
Believable.
And I told the doc, I said, Doc, my pain scale is different. I'm a meathead. I go, just because I'm talking, even making a joke, there's something wrong. Yeah. And we had done a little bit of research and realized CT scan is for bone. He's like, can we please get a CT? No, you don't need it. You're good. Oh, you're good. He's looking at the MRI, misreading it right in front of us. So finally we said, please, here's the best part. He goes, okay, so this is Thursday. So he ordered it for Tuesday. No sense of urgency, none. And then he said, this really makes people in medical cringe. He said, in the meantime, I want you to go to physical therapy. So I went Friday. First thing you do, check your range of
motion.
Yeah, it would almost seem made up. Like I've only told a few people.
Yeah. Has this ever been filmed? Is this the first time? Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad I've always meant to do a film on this just because nobody knows about that insurance thing. And they're like, oh my God, we're always in this country and that country, this country and that country. I mean, that could be a bankruptcy event. You have something really bad, a couple $100,000. So that couple it was a Sandy Springs couple, which is where I live. And she had she was in second trimester, and the baby came early. And she almost died. The baby almost died. I mean, it was $50,000, and they were trapped. They interviewed them, and were like, we couldn't leave the room until they had to get parents, relatives, and friends, and they weren't. I could
quick GoFundMe.
Walk up. Yep. Okay.
Throw up or walk up?
Walk up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't walk up to this. Run.
Yeah.
On this guy. Don't walk up. Yeah. See how it worked out of the run. Don't walk.
Yeah. Yes. Love it.
That was a good joke. It's good material. All right. So, so he's misread the MRI right in front of me, and he sent me to physical therapy. That was Friday, and he wanted me to go back on Monday. Two of them before the CT scan. No sense of urgency whatsoever. So the Monday one, the Monday guy, physical therapist, that was his part-time job. You know what his full-time job was?
Quick Trip.
Chiropractor.
Okay.
So he had I could see, like, he's right here. And he's manipulating all these fracture points with his fingers. And he's like, God damn. It's like, you are jacked up. I said, dude, don't do the neck. He's, hell no. I'm not, at least he knew it was bad enough to, but yeah, chiropractor. Still no neck brace, 2 weeks. So Tuesday I go get the CT scan, and same thing. I remember. CT scan, that was Tuesday morning, and I had a doctor appointment on Wednesday, midday, routine appointment to get my stitches out because it's been 2 weeks. I remember this. I will never. So Wednesday, they've had the scans for 24 hours. And the nurse she's la, 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 la. And I'm like, hey, did you get the scans yesterday? She's like, oh, I don't know. Let me check. He's like, hold on a second. Holy shit. Don't move. I got to get you a neck brace. I got to. She ran out of the room, ran it back in. Like,
this is a comedy of errors.
And this is a neurosurgeon.
Yes.
Not to downplay a podiatrist, but this is life or death.
Yes.
This guy played Russian roulette with
your life.
He took one bullet, he spun it. Luckily, it was an empty chamber.
Yeah.
I have a picture of him. Would you like to see it?
I would.
Okay.
I really would.
Oh, wait, that's my personal copy. Sorry, let me, sorry. Oh, I did not mean to pull that out. Oh, here's Dr. Walk Up.
Okay.
Run, don't walk. All right.
This is real.
Yeah, it's real. So, okay, so that's the story. It's, if I didn't go through it, I would believe parts of it were.
Exactly. It's like a
shit was made up.
Novel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, do you have any emotional trauma, any PTSD after this experience? Or?
Yeah. I was, so you could pick this up. I'm a daredevil mindset. It's just historically completely fearless. And of really anything, which is kind of a detriment sometimes.
Sure.
And so I carried around, I think maybe I still do. So I had PTSD. I had nightmares. Well, I did a couple things. It was a fear. I just had fear in my heart, in my body for every time a car, you'd see a car, you freak out. Yeah. I remember walking up when I finally started working out, I couldn't do anything for 10 months. And honest, for someone like me, that was as bad as
Oh, that's confinement. That's
for me.
prison sentence.
Awful. So PTSD though, so I had for a good 2 years, I had nightmares pretty much every night. It was always obviously accidents, but a lot of choking, a lot of drowning, anything to do with like not being able to breathe. That was about 2 years of that. So I tell you, and I don't even like saying that because I think about what I went through and the trauma, repercussions of it, and then I think about war veterans. If I had that, and that wasn't a minor event, but if I had that over that accident, imagine what they go through. And I have an appreciation.
Magnitudes of order bigger.
Your life, the rest of your life, you're having nightmares. So God bless those guys. So yes, I did. And I think I've been carrying something that I realized when business dropped, when the market shifted, and because I started feeling fear again, and I thought back on the accident, and I used that. That's one of the positives. I used that to get me through it, and I said I can get through anything. Anything.
Absolutely. So there's the advantage in the adversity for you. It's an even more powerful mindset that I can deal with anything.
Yep.
Fair statement?
Yep. And I had a lunch a couple years ago. I was telling the story to a buddy of mine who's a roommate in college, but he lived to tell about it. Easy. Asked my wife. So he's a pastor of a mega church.
Okay.
Always a great speaker. And so my super religious, super Christian friends were having lunch, and I told the story, and they're like, wow. And this kind of answers one of your questions you were going to ask me and they said, what are you going to do with that?
Great question. What's your answer? Have you figured it out? Obviously, this is hitting you hard.
Yeah. Well, so the question is can you be a great dad and always strive to be a better dad and a good husband and a better husband and a good neighbor and a good friend and a good family member? Is that enough? I think it is. That's what I've been focusing on. But I realized that I was spared for a reason.
Amen, brother.
Not sure why yet.
Okay. You'll figure that out.
Yeah.
You will figure that out.
Yeah.
Well, thank God you're here. You're walked in here on your own volition. You're not in a chair. You're not on a walker.
Yeah.
It's a miracle. I consider you another walking miracle.
Yeah.
Things could have gone a lot worse for Todd Roseberry.
Yeah. There was I should have been dead a few times at impact, at surgery. I got home and was sent home without a neck brace. It's statistically improbable.
Correct.
That I'm sitting here.
Yeah, that story sounds real familiar. That hits home.
Yeah, does that?
That hits home. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for being on the podcast. I think your story is unbelievable, and I know people will gather some meaning from it. Any closing thoughts around the advantage of adversity or finding opportunity? Put a bow on it for us.
Okay. Well, yeah, you add a couple of lessons other than the ones I just espoused from Mexico and insurance and never head first. You can control your breath. You can control your life. Yoga, meditation. We as human beings are armed with the capacity to deal with anything.
I believe that.
I know
that.
Take care of your stuff. Mind, body, spirit. It'll take care of you. Yeah, and like I said, God spared me for a reason. And it's my job to figure out what that is, and realize that life is a question, and how we live it is our answer.
That's fantastic. That's heavy.
Yeah.
That's deep. That's beautiful. Thank you for being here, and glad you're here. So glad you're here. In awesome shape.
Me too, man.
So coming full circle back to real estate real quick, if anybody wants to reach out to you to hear your story, to hire you to speak, to buy real estate from you, how can people reach Todd Roseberry?
Okay, well, phone number 404-664-10 T-O-double-D.
Nice.
Yeah, that was so cheesy when I did it because I work with cheese. I'm like Michelangelo, cheesy. I love it.
Love cheesy.
Yeah, and it was so cheesy. I didn't tell anyone for like 8 years
Oh my God.
that my phone number spells.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
664-8633, and the website is roseberryresidential.com.
Fantastic. I wish you all the best. This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for having me.
yeah, you're welcome. My honor, my pleasure, brother.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching this this podcast with Mr. Todd Roseberry, filming from Mesmerize Media Studio in North Atlanta. Have a phenomenal day, and always find the advantage and the opportunity in adversity.